That's where our Kisa Wandera is live for us. Kisa, the last time we spoke just about one of the polling stations had brought in their votes. How many so far have submitted their results?
Well, so far, Sophia, about 16 or 17 presiding officers have just made their way here to the tallying center to bring the results. So far, the results that have been announced by the returning officer are just from 4 polling stations, but I should say the number of presiding officers continues to grow. I have personally seen about 16 of them just making their way here with all the material they were using at the various polling stations. Remember, we had 183 polling stations across Kibra constituency with 118,658 registered voters casting their votes for 24 candidates. So then, after the counting in each of the polling stations, of course, that came out of the polling stations being closed at around 5 p.m. The counting began immediately from the polling stations. So each of the presiding officers makes their way here after they have counted and ascertained that all is well at the polling stations before coming here for clearance. Various desks, as you can see behind me, have been set up to ensure that the process is very seamless. They report here, clear all the material they were given, talk about Kim's kits, the booths that the constituents were using or the voters were using, as well as the ballot boxes, and most importantly, Form 35A that the returning officer is using to announce the results, which of course are also put up. Various agents for each of these candidates are also present here, just of course to ensure that all goes well with this particular vote. As I mentioned earlier, this is a very important vote, not just for the candidates, but for the political parties, because it sets a stage for bigger political battles. We've seen how seriously politicians from various parties have taken this particular by-election, and ODM, of course, keen to retain this seat, which has been cheekily described as ODM's bedroom from various quarters. So will they retain this? Will they manage the bedroom affairs? It's a matter of wait and see. What you can hear at the background is the returning officer announcing results from the 8th polling station, and of course I will be giving you the updates shortly after this particular link, and of course I find out what the numbers look like. But let's hear from one of the observers from this particular election. They have been on the ground as Haki Africa from morning. Let's hear what they have to say. Joining me now is Hussein, the Executive Director of Haki Africa, a human rights organization. Thank you very much for joining us here on KTN News for our continuous coverage of Kibra Decides from where you sit. And of course, we had a conversation earlier. How would you rate this entire process? What has it been like?
Thank you very much. We've been here actually since yesterday when the IEBC began the distribution of election materials. And we've been able to actually observe everything that has been happening. And for us, we were actually following up to confirm or to assess the preparedness of IEBC. As you know, Akisa, the last presidential election was hotly contested, and the results were nullified, and then we got a rerun, but then there was a boycott, so we have not been in a position to actually test whether IEBC are ready for a serious election. So this was a test, and so far we can say largely they've been able to do a good job. We've had incidences here and there. For example, in some of the polling stations, the voters could not be identified. We also had some kits that were not working, for example, at Jamhuri Primary School polling station. But largely, we can say that the IEBC were well prepared, and we feel that whatever the incidences that were experienced will not affect the outcome of the results.
What were some of the most conspicuous things from where you sit about this election all day?
The most concerning issue, I would say, is the low voter turnout. We expected to have higher numbers, but from our estimation as Haki Africa, of course we have to wait for IEBC to give us the official figures, but from our estimation, less than 50% of the voters actually came out to vote. That was very surprising for us, and we felt that that is the most concerning issue that IEBC need to address, to look into, to ascertain why that was the case.
Thank you very much, Hussein Khalid, Executive Director, Haki Africa. Of course, they have been observing this particular election, of course, showing concern about the low voter turnout. But before I let you go, the violence that we have witnessed from during the day and the bribery claims.
Yes.
What have you seen on the ground?
Yes, Kisa, I can confirm to you that actually, for example, we spoke to Kimilili Member of Parliament, Mr. Baraza, and he explained to us what actually transpired when he was roughed up by rowdy youths at Mashimoni polling station. We also witnessed violence in the morning at the same polling station where an individual was actually accused of trying to vote, to bribe voters. The issue of vote bribery was actually real. In at least 4 different polling stations, we witnessed it with our own eyes. Of course, we tried to take pictures and videos, but as you know, it's very difficult to get that. But yes, we can confirm that indeed there were cases of violence in different places, and voter bribery was also witnessed in different polling stations.
All right, thank you. Of course, we'll continue to engage as the night goes on. Sophia, from what he said, they are confirming that indeed there was violence on the ground in various polling stations, and as they say, they have actually witnessed voter bribery in this particular process. But as I mentioned, presiding officers continue to report here at the tallying center, and of course ascertaining that the results they've come with are indeed the correct results as per what was on the ground in the various polling stations. Politicians also continue to make their way here. I've seen Nixon Korir, Member of Parliament Langata, who's also the chief agent for the Jubilee Party in this particular process. I've seen Member of Parliament Kikuyu Kimani Chungwa, of course, also for the Jubilee Party. Of course, I'll continue to speak to them, hear what they have to say. Things are quite tight here, a lot of optimism for all the parties. But as we go, the returning officer continues to give us the various results that the presiding officers are bringing in. I will continue to keep you up to date with that. Sophia, back to you.
Thank you, Akisa. We will definitely keep linking up with you.